This video is about Chapter 2 of my book, How to Sue the Government. You can buy my book on Amazon. Chapter 2 is about legal research. Start your case by researching the laws relevant to your grievance. You must research the laws thoroughly and completely, otherwise the judge will dismiss your case. Let's jump in and research a case. My fiancée, who lives in Cuba, and I had a visa interview scheduled for January 2nd, 2020. Her grandmother, whom she lives with and is her grandmother's primary caregiver, developed transient ischemia, which is a series of strokes. She was expected to live no more than 2 weeks. We canceled the interview and intended to reschedule. Her grandmother didn't die, the embassy shut down, and countries closed their borders. We waited until we were both vaccinated, and then I immediately contacted the embassy to schedule our interview. The embassy responded to my email. We regret to inform that after almost 2 years of inactivity on this petition, it was terminated and purged from our records. You will need to file a new petition for the beneficiary. I argued, but the consular officer could do nothing. I contacted my congressman, but his staff couldn't help. I wrote to the director of the Citizenship and Immigration Service, the USCIS, and got back a form letter saying there was nothing the director could do. We started over with a new visa application due to the backlog from the pandemic. What should have taken 6 months has taken 2 years. It has now been 5 years since we applied for a visa, and she is still in Cuba. I started my legal research on Google with the phrase termination of K-1 fiancé visa. One of the top hits was the Department of State's Foreign Affairs Manual. Now this may look like a string of letters and numbers, but it's the key that unlocks the federal code. It's telling me to look at the Immigration and Nationality Act, and it gives me the sections locations in the United States Code, USC. This search result also tells me to look at the Code of Federal Regulations and gives me the locations. After that, this section of the Foreign Affairs Manual is 12 pages of policies and procedures for agency staff to terminate immigrant visa registrations. Now I'm going to talk about statutes, regulations, policies, and procedures, and documents for the public. Statutes, also called acts, are passed by Congress and signed by the President. Statutes are collected into the United States Code, which is found on the website of the U.S. House of Representatives. Think of the United States Code as carved into stone somewhere. These are top drawer gold standard laws. Regulations are laws written by agencies created by Congress, such as the Customs and Immigration Service. Regulations are collected in the Code of Federal Regulations, and they are the second tier federal laws. Federal agencies also create manuals for policies and handbooks for procedures for agency officers and employees. Policies and procedures are the third tier federal laws. There's also a fourth tier of federal laws. These are documents issued to the public. For example, the National Marine Fisheries Service within the Department of Commerce might issue a document to commercial salmon fishermen in Alaska. Generally, statutes are short, just a sentence or two, and broadly written. Regulations may expand a statute into a few paragraphs, and policies and procedures then expand a regulation into a dozen pages of specific instructions to agency staff. Documents issued to the public typically narrow a broad statute, regulation, policy, or procedure, or apply it specifically to a situation. For example, a Department of Commerce regulation might allow the agency to set a date for the start of the Alaskan commercial salmon fishing season. An agency might specify that commercial fishermen in the Prince William Sound area can fish for Chinook salmon with gill nets from May 15th to June 30th. Now we'll look at the statutes recommended, listed in the Foreign Affairs Manual. It said to go to Title 8, 1153G. And that says the Secretary of State shall terminate the registration of any alien who fails to apply for an immigrant visa within 1 year following notification to the alien of the availability of such visa, but the Secretary shall reinstate the registration of any such alien who establishes within 2 years following the date of notification of the availability of such visa that such failure to apply was due to circumstances beyond the alien's control. Well, that's relevant to my case. I communicated with the embassy and with the USCIS asking for our visa application to be reinstated. I said that our inactivity was beyond our control due to the pandemic. It's clear to me that the agency did not comply with the law. Now let's look at the Code of Federal Regulations. Which is the Foreign Affairs Manual, tells us to look at 22 CFR 42.83. Termination of registration. So again, this all looks relevant, especially paragraph E, interpretation of circumstances beyond aliens' control, which includes an illness that prevents an alien from traveling, or a refusal by the authorities of Cuba to let people off the island until they were vaccinated. So, and we can work our way back to the policies and procedures, and I can go through these 12 pages of procedures for agency staff to terminate immigrant visa registration. I won't bore you by reading these procedures, but I can say that every page is relevant to my case. So now I found a statute, a regulation, and 12 pages of agency procedures to support my case. That's a super brief introduction to legal research. To learn more, please buy my book, How to Sue the Government, on Amazon. Look for a button to click to watch the next video. If you're watching this on YouTube, please click the subscribe button below the video so that I get a share of the revenue from the ads you've seen. I also have a Facebook page, How to Sue the Government. On X, follow the hashtag How to Sue the Government, and my website is howtosuethegovernment.com.